This video is sponsored by the Design Mechanism, the makers of Mithras. Mithras is a registered trademark of the Design Mechanism Inc., used with permission. All rights reserved. So, hello everyone. Hello, welcome. I'm just making sure everybody. Oh, Mr. Pickles is gone.
Yeah, Mr. Pickles is gone.
Mr. Pickles has gone again. All of a sudden, he got up and dashed off.
Potion of invisibility.
Just went.
Yeah.
No worries. Then we'll
do him last.
Yeah, do it. Let's do him now. So first off, to start everybody off today will be Mr. Pickles.
Don't go on to Longshanks because now he's.
Mr. Pickles is
Fly away, Peter. Fly away, Paul. Come back, Peter. Come back, Paul.
Oh, I don't know. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Mithras in the Temple of the Chaos Mother. The party.
What? They're already?
The party are deep underground in a very dark and scary place. They encountered a very strange looking miner last week that did quite a lot of damage, I think, to the party, if I remember correctly. However, before we get into that and give you a brief synopsis, I'm going to allow the players an opportunity to introduce who they are and who they'll be playing tonight, while I check their sound levels and move the picture in the middle, depending who's going first. So, yeah, go for it.
Hi guys, I'm Chugawugga. I play the character Gulliver, who is the youngest member of the party, just barely an adult. He actually turned 18 whilst adventuring with this motley crew. He's a sorcerer, one of the spell users in the party. His spells evolve around communication, teleportation, and transportation. He's in one of the four sorcery orders of Odis, the Order of the Kraken, which is the blue order. He also has various minor spells, which he uses from the folk magic spell school. He classes them as cantrips. As a sorcerer, he has the ability to shape his spells to how he wants them. He can change the range, he can change the number of targets, or even combine several spells into a single casting. And I shall pass on to Longshanks, seeing his mic was open when I was talking, and I could hear him shuffling his papers and looking around, so he might as well go now.
Thank you. I'm glad you got the hint, Chugs. Hi guys, I'm Longshanks CPG, and I, as always, play Hengist. He's the group's warrior, tank, heavy armor dude with sword and shield. Basically, his job is to soak the hits and then allow Gully to charge over his dead body with a spade, as happened in the last episode. He's on with everyone else on this quest down into this horrible, dark, dingy, slightly creepy, chaosy place to try and stop chaos being released all over the world and general bad times happening, which is not good. And we're also, as always, are still on the quest to save Bartleby, save the world. And I'm going to cut short and pass over to Bartleby.
I am Mr. Pickles, who plays the character Bartleby. Bartleby is our theist in the group, serving the light moon goddess Amriel. He frequently mentions her throughout the quest, as she is his inspiration and his savior in his past, reviving him and mostly fixing his mangled hands to a point of being usable. As the theist, he is able to work miracles and prayers through her. The prayers are in the folk magic area, and just as Gulliver classes his as cantrips, Bartleby classes his as just minor prayers, short prayers. He can heal, he can repair, he can calm people down, offer protection, see strange things with the eyes of Amriel, and he can also exhort her power through miracles to give greater protection or make it so somebody can toil up a mountain for hours and hours without getting any fatigue, removing disease, and all sorts of fun things. In his recreational time, Bartleby likes monsters, history of the land, and is wooing a noble woman who bears an item that, when connected to the two items Bartleby wears that will never be removed, can summon a dragon. That's Bartleby's quest, to get the triad of items that are not removable. And I'll pass it on to Medivac.
Why, thank you, Mr. Pickles. I'm Medivac and I play Hazra Khan. He's a nomad. He's from the steppes north of Odess. He is the group's tracker, scout, backup warrior in a sense as well. He also likes to forage for food for the group whenever he can. He's quite comfortable outside. He loves the outdoors, which is his home, basically. Anything inside is pretty much at a loss, but he does try his best to keep a stiff upper lip, as it were. He likes to fight with a short spear and a scimitar. He's quite agile, and he's recently joined the Brotherhood, which the group doesn't really know about, but they keep track of how things change in the lands, how people have an effect on nature, how nature has an effect on people, and what happens, and they're trying to keep a balance so things don't get out of control. And he's got a necklace which has a little jaguar tooth on it, which glows every now and again. Again, the group don't know about this, but it glows, and he doesn't know why. He's still trying to puzzle this out. He has theories. Yes, and he's down in the darkness of this upside-down city in his own head. It's very strange, but we're all about to try and save Bartleby, and that's the most important thing in the world to him at the moment. So with that, I shall pass on to our mighty GM, Inwils.
Before Inwils, I was thinking about the Brotherhood during the week. And because you mentioned it last week as well, and you said about the balance, about how the Brotherhood is maintaining the balance. And I was thinking that the Necromancer is trying to destroy the world. Me, Gulliver, Hengist, and Bartleby are trying to save the world.
This sounds like it's going on the old-fashioned AD&D argument with the druid. In order, because druids are true neutral, because there's 3 goblins and 5 characters, the druid suddenly decides to charge in with the goblins to keep the alignment neutral.
But that would explain...
Good, I haven't heard that for ages.
That would explain why Hazra tried to grab the seed. And therefore it wouldn't go into either the Necromancer's hands or the party's hands. Maybe he wanted to grab it.
I still maintain the fact I was trying to take it away from what's-his-face, Sebastian, whatever his name was, Jeremiah.
Jeremiah, yeah.
Yes, so he didn't see me take it. Who had it, as long as it was away from him. Sacrifice my hand.
The wonders of alignment, how it was. I just remember
alignment was so easy. It was the answer to everything. Well,
I think it was an excuse for everything. You know, sort of like somebody takes.
I killed you all because I'm chaotic.
Yeah, so like, can I have this stuff? No, I want it. No, well, give it to the mage. They can do nothing else for the rest. I'm chaotic evil. I'm taking it. And then I'll backstab him. It's just sort of like, oh, I hate.
It was poor role players' way to role play, though. That's what they're using.
And I just hate every aspect. The reason I hate alignment is that I can't understand how a whole person's philosophy can be summed up in 2 words: lawful good. You know. So it's I just sort of like think there's too much involved. Anyway, yes, the party are down. I was trying to figure out, what are they saving you from?
Is that incompetence?
Bartleby.
You know, it's what it is, and I just have this crew of people around me that
what we're actually doing is really cruel. We're keeping him alive long enough to have his soul sucked out of his own body.
Well, to be fair, I want to teach him the ways of not using super glue on his.
So the party are deep. I think it's music outside. I could hear music, and I was thinking, where's that music? But I think it's from outside. And so the party have been hired by an individual back in the main town of Lindo to follow 2 scholars who stole a book and a map from Lindo and headed off to the far northwest of the continent of Odes in search of a temple of the Chaos Mother. The party have come across this Chaos Mother deity earlier on in their quest, numerous adventures ago, and Gulliver and Bartleby read a huge amount of text about it and sort of like got the general idea. The party have followed the scholars across the country. They've been in a brothel, they've been in a barbarian's camp. They defeated a mighty beast called the Zultuk that actually took about nearly 1.5 hours to actually kill. And then they've encountered a whole lot of miners who were escaping from this area that seems to have been once a very popular town or area that has now been covered with volcanic ash. And eventually they came to the top of a bell tower that they assume was the entrance to the temple. The miner that they gathered beforehand said that a number of miners and troops went down the tunnel, and then there was some silence, some chanting, and then several beasts, mutations, deformed creatures tried to scale back up the ropes, slicing a poor miner's leg as he escaped, and then they chopped the ropes off and kept them down there. The party ventured down last week. It's very dark. There's no non-human species do exist in the world of Mithras rule set, but the party are all humans, so they are holding on to their torches and candles to try to see in the dark. So when you see the map, if you're watching the stream, they can only see what's in the bright part. They can't see anything else on the map. The players are not actually watching the stream, they're just watching Roll20. They ventured down, and forgive me if I'm wrong, you found a pool that had a head floating in it, a boot that had a leg still in it but nothing else. You found the dormitory of the priests, and then you came into a massive room that had a deformed or mutilated statue, and you were on the 2nd floor on the balcony looking down. You also found some, I think Bartleby and Gulliver, you found some tablets, is that right? And were busy looking at them. And Hazra and Hengist, you found some burnt offerings or something like that in another room. And it was while you were both doing this then a mutation of a miner appeared and combat ensued, and with Hengist taking a rather nasty neck wound as the beast sort of like tore through the armor, and with a critical roll, I think it was, or special, and bypassed the armor and tore a great massive chunk out of Hengist. The party defeated the miner, or the mutated being that is now dead on the floor, and Bartleby came to Hengist's aid and healed him to make sure that he was all right. And that is where we finished, I think. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's right. What were your daggers' names, Gulliver?
Oh, yes, you got 2 daggers.
Oh, I wrote them down somewhere.
I can't remember what you called them, but you did name them.
Yes.
I know. Foe Slayer, and Havoc Wrecker.
Yeah.
Because I've got them written down in my thing. Okay, then.
Yeah, I wrote them down as well.
So I think you're on this map. Yeah. So I'm just going to move you over to the map. Remember, you have to zoom in quite a way to actually find them. You got yourselves? So people are watching the stream, you should be able to see now, so that the party can't actually see down here or in this part over there or down here, but they can see in the light bit where their characters are. Okay then, so let's pick it up from there then. So Bartleby, and remember your luck will have been replenished. And luck, for anybody who's watching the stream, is for they can use luck to either re-roll, get me to re-roll, or swap dice numbers around on a dice. So if they get 94, they can swap it to 49. And luck replenishes at the start of each session. So generally what happens is that as we're getting closer and closer to 10 o'clock when we finish, players suddenly start to use their luck up because they know it's downhill from now on. So magic points will still be exactly the same because you've taken no rest at all. And yeah, let's go straight into it. Who's the people who have the torches?
Gulliver has a light currently.
Okay, let me just make sure. Yeah, so people are watching the stream. You can now see as I click onto Gulliver, that's what the party sees. And if I click onto Bartleby, that's what they actually see. And that's all they see. They don't see anything else at all.
So Gulliver's currently wielding a shovel, which as well, because he had put the light down.
Oh yes, I remember. Yeah,
to summon the shovel from this miner, which is like a rock miner, not a young person miner.
Oh yes, I remember now. He was fighting with it, and you summoned it out of his hand. I summoned
it, and then Hengist went down, and Gulliver rushed in with the shovel sort of like posed to strike, stood over Hengist, and just as he, I think he probably killed it as well. Hazra might have done something somewhere, but
a minor thing.
Yeah, in the midst of combat.
Was this the one that you actually chucked your spear into combat?
I chucked my spear and it hit his head, yeah.
Yeah, and everybody was saying, no, don't do it!
I was like, yeah.
And Hengist, so just to let you know, if you're watching the stream, if you fire missile weapons into existing melee, then the difficulty to actually hit goes up by 1 rank. So instead of being standard, it would have been hard. But yeah, I think you
and have a chance of hitting Hengist.
Yeah, you actually critted. How poor were they? They had no hope, no faith in you. So yeah,
so Gulliver's going to have discarded the shovel and retrieved his lantern, and he's going to go back over. He's going to say, "Are you okay, Hengist?"
I am now, thanks to Bartleby here. And then Hengist will clap Bartleby on the back and say, "That's another one I owe you. I'll have to buy you a tankard of ale when we get back to make even."
You're not going to turn into one of those things, are you? You remember the temple? And the...
That might well be. I don't want to turn it. I don't want to turn into all those things.
I believe that Amriel's light has shone upon you, Hengist.
What spell did you actually cast on?
I used the miracle. Okay, my cat's gonna make this hard. Heal wound, I think. Yes, heal wound is what I would have cast.
Can you just pop it up in the chat?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cheers. Thank you.
Gulliver wants to holding the torch further down to where this Slade miner is. He wants to see whether or not he can get a closer look at it. See whether or not we can see what exactly's happened to it. Whether or not its skin's just turned leathery, or whether or not it's mutated in some other way. And
yeah, so when you sort of like look down over it, do you just want to see what he's like, or are you checking for specifically using your first aid or healing skill or anything like that?
He doesn't have any healing skill or first aid, so it's purely a perception thing that he's doing. He's looking to see whether or not it's just his skin that's
okay. Then so roll your perception roll, and obviously you can see him, but it's just the amount of wow. Oh, this is a good start. Oh no, you always do this, don't you? As a group, you always get your criticals out the way at the beginning. Yeah. So there's several things that you sort of like observe straight off, Gulliver, and the first thing that you notice is that his limbs and certain parts of his body seem to be. They've first looked as if they've been a bit. Almost like they look like they're bloated, but it's only when you sort of like have a little bit more of a look that you notice that you think the muscle bulk has actually increased. You notice that its clothes, and I'm saying its clothes because it's definitely not human anymore, have been ripped and torn. You notice that it has no boots on anymore, and a lot of its trousers and its jerkin are really sort of like tight fitting, as if it's sort of like expanded underneath them and parts have ripped, etc. You notice that it has quite hardened fingers, and you notice that its nails are no longer like human nails. They look more like claws. You also notice that there's several weeping sores all over the body. It's almost as if it almost looks as if the creature has been burnt, but there's no blackening of the skin at all.
What colour's the blood?
Yeah, the blood is still red. It's still human type blood. The only thing that you do notice, which is very unusual, is that it's sort of like lying there in its death throes, and its eyes are quite wide open, as is its mouth. In its mouth, you can see that many of its teeth have elongated, especially the canines, almost like dogs or some kind of beasts. And the eyes, you notice that the pupils are now very, very big, but they're much bigger than your own pupils would actually grow, and you figure it's probably some adaptation for the creature.
Did it seem affected by the light when it attacked?
No, but
it might have been gaining accustomed to it. I think the first time we saw it, it sort of like scuttled away from almost like the light, if it was the same one.
Yeah, and you know that in order to get here, it either felt its way in the dark, smelt its way in the dark, or can see in the dark. no matter what. I mean, if there's any more of these around, you know, your light source is quite a big beacon at the moment.
Can I just, while I pull my spear from its head,
Yeah.
can I look at the uniform or the clothes it's wearing, and do they look similar or the same as the miners
Yeah.
away from the camp?
Yeah, most definitely. Very similar to the miners.
So it's not something originated from here. It's something that it's one of the miners.
No, it definitely looks like it seems to have some kind of leather jerkin on, and then sort of like you know, doe skin breeches, and it was carrying the spade as well. It doesn't look like a trooper. You would have thought they would have probably better armor, but also maybe a more substantial weapon other than a spade. And seeing what this did unarmed to Hengist, you know, it's a bit
Gulliver's
worrying.
going to turn to Bartleby, and he's going to say, Bartleby, how many miners left Norport?
Wasn't it 20?
And how many did we encounter at the top of the hill?
I believe that was,
Standing Stones.
there were maybe 4 up at the Standing Stones.
If you're doing a quick arithmetic, then you met no troopers. If you remember Hanno's troops, and you remember that there was 20 mercenaries.
That's right, 20 mercs.
You figure, doing a rough count of miners, the ones that came back to the ones that came down here, you would have thought there may be 2, 3, 4, 5 missing, and that could have been down here. But Hengist, you realise that, you know, if they were going to go down somewhere, it would be the troops that they would take rather than the miners.
I think it's more likely that they're going to be all of the troops down here, and obviously the 2 hooded people. They must have taken a couple of miners with them in case they needed to dig out any doorways or archways or anything like that, but they're not going to have taken many.
Gulliver's going to
Is your Discord open?
Yeah, he's going to suddenly Gulliver spins round behind him, almost like holding the torch out as a weapon, but whilst doing so, is taking a step back.
Yeah.
Hengist, seeing that, will try and get in between Gully and whatever has caused him to jump backwards.
You can probably almost like swap places, almost like that.
Did you hear it too, Hengist?
No, I didn't hear anything. I just saw you. I just saw you jump like that.
Everyone make a perception roll. It just so you know, it's hard. It's a hard skill roll.
Oh, there we go. Back to the good. Nobody gets it.
Look at
Bartleby.
Only Bartleby can save us now.
Okay, I'm assuming Bartleby would sort of like whisper this to you as he sort of like clarifies the noise. Is that what Bartleby would do, or do you want it privately to yourself?
He'll most definitely worry out loud.
Yeah,
he's chaotic evil, no, he won't.
Yeah, he's Bartleby sort of like listens for a while, and he sort of like leans forward, and he doesn't speak or anything. He sort of like points, sort of like downward, as if down here, and he sort of like whispers, it's down there. He thinks it's not on your level. Remember that this here is a 7-meter drop.
That's what we're barking out with.
Yeah.
Hengist, my friend, do you think we should find a defensible position?
This is fairly defensible. Has anyone seen any stairs?
No, I was more thinking of pulling back into the room behind us, so they have one entrance to come at us if they do come.
Nobody has seen any stairs, I don't think.
I know that
No.
the library to the south was a dead end from last session. I don't know what the rooms to the north were like.
No, you haven't seen any stairs. When you came out onto the balcony, you could go left or right, east or west, and you came west. So you sort of like, I'll just ping the map. You came out sort of like here. Can you see where I'm pinging?
Yeah.
And came round here, but you could have gone the other way as well. So whether or not there's stairs down here, but there's nothing else on this side, and that's the only place that you haven't actually checked on this level.
Gulliver's going to say, I don't think we can afford to just wait. What happens if the foreigners have already found out what they're looking for? They could already be on the way out.
I agree with Gulliver. Sometimes the best form of defense is attack. I think we should move.
Oh no, we don't.
I didn't mention attacking.
Too late. Hengist has got no object.
Just one of those creatures managed to wipe out the entire band of Hanzos.
Or perhaps more sinisterly, perhaps they are Hanno's troop.
I was going to do an alien quote there, but I didn't.
What was it?
It's when he says, just one of those things managed to wipe out their whole colony.
Yeah.
All right.
It's goddamn bug.
It's a goddamn town meeting.
How do we get out of this?
Nonetheless, I think, as you have said, Gully, time is of the essence. We need to find these two people to stop whatever they're doing.
We have had this discussion before, Hengist. It's always better if you let me do the thinking.
Let us move back to where we came.
We
must.
Stairs.
Yes.
Hengist is going to gingerly walk towards the corner of the balcony.
You taking the piss? Saying gingerly walk.
No, I'm taking no. Hengist is going to walk carefully, waiting for anything to jump out of the shadows at him. Is what I meant to say. As he walks towards the corner of the balcony.
Gulliver is going to follow, but he's almost consciously keeping his back with a wall against it, especially if this is the
north part,
a
then.
drop, yeah, and sort of like keeping an eye out in this direction where the noise came from.
So just to let you know, this wall here, that is the balcony, so it's like a balustrade there. So there's sort of like struts that you could see through or vault over if you wish. This part here, if you can see where I'm pinging, remember that was in a wall, so that part is just sort of like sealed off. So yes, Hengist, I think you can see a small way down the corridor. The rest of the place is still it's a bit like being down a mine, because you're actually underground and there's volcanic ash, etc. above you. And if you remember looking out across the temple where the statue is, there's holes in the roof that seems to have got rocks or something wedged in them that has stopped the volcanic ash sort of like falling through. There are gaps in it, but there's no light coming in here at all. So essentially the only thing you can probably see is the beams of the radius of your flickering flames. Yeah, so you sort of like peer into darkness, Hengist, with Gulliver behind you. What's Bartleby and Hazra planning on doing?
Bartleby is going to pull up third, but he wants to be within arm's reach of Hazra.
Okay.
Azure will be on Bartleby's heels as he moves forward.
Okay, then. So just move yourselves forward to where you would like to stand.
I don't think we have the luxury of stopping every 2 foot, Hengist. This torch is only going to last 6 hours, and we haven't seen any other torches anywhere in the place. All the brackets have been empty.
That is correct, but they does look like they actually held torches at one point.
Hengist will nod and he's going to start moving around the corner, knowing in full trust that.
Okay, then. So let's sort of like rather than everybody keep moving up, is the idea to carry on walking around until?
Yes, so the idea is to walk around this balcony. One, to see whether or not we come to any stairs down, or secondly, if we come to any turnings off the main corridor, then we shall stop and
okay, then. So what I'll do,
Gulliver will always try to keep his back towards the rock and keep an eye out over the balustrade, if when he can.
Okay, and what is? Does anybody else want to give me any?
Well, Hazard's got his spear out in his hand as always, and he'll be watching Bartleby and Gulliver, but he'll also be doing the same thing, be watching over the side as well as ahead. He'll be constantly flitting around.
Okay.
As Hengist is walking forward, he's going to be scanning sort of like a 180 in front of him, and he's going to have his sword out, held ready, and his shield is going to be passively blocking his chest, left arm, and
shut the front door
belly. So it's like right in front of him. So he's walking forward with his shield angled in front of him, ready to be there to deflect anything that comes at him.
Yeah. So you remember, in order to ward location, you need to, on your first action, or your first, the first round of initiative, you need to take a free action to ward location.
Yeah. But anyway, he's got his shield out, protecting his upper body.
The corridor sort of like carries on in an easterly fashion until it seems to open up on the opposite side to where you are. It looks like it's a big room, and you can just see that probably looks a bit like a Pac-Man to you guys.
There's a Pac-Man
in the corner. You can see that there's what appears to be a circular set of a spiral staircase going down. The other thing that you notice in this place straight away, on the northern wall from you, Hengist, you can see that there's what appears to be pictures, proper frame pictures. They're not painted on the wall like you've seen before, and they seem to be depicting forest animals, and they look like quite normal everyday animals. You do notice that what appears to have happened is that there's been a line of potted plants that are all dead now, but they've been placed in front of these pictures, so almost as if to give the effect that you're looking through some kind of forest to the animals beyond. You notice that the first one right next to you is still hanging. The next one along has sort of like come off the wall and sort of like toppled the potted plants over and sort of like is face down. It also looks as if there's it looks like it's not been pulled off the wall. It looks like it's just fallen. But the most spookiest thing about the pictures is that you sort of like glance at them and you notice that they actually, of the animals, attract the light and almost like reflect it. And as Gulliver's sort of like moving the torch backwards and forwards, all of you get this impression that somebody has purposefully gone over the eyes of all the creatures in the paintings, making them somewhat bigger and redder or yellower or oranger, and they seem to be reflecting the light as you come into there. Gulliver, if you sort of like take your torch away, they need some kind of light to reflect. They're not emanating their own light, but it almost looks like in the flickering torchlight that it gives you the impression that you're in a room with a whole load of creatures staring at you from the paintings. And you can imagine that when these potted plants were actually alive, the effect would have been as if they're staring through some kind of foliage at you. You also notice that the plants would have been about almost like between 1/2 meter and 1 meter tall. They're not sort of like little dinky plants. You know, they are substantial plants.
Gulliver wants to have a look up at the ceiling.
Yeah, the ceiling.
Can you see it from the?
The ceiling here is this part here. I'll just ping it for you. This part here is a wall. Mm-hmm. So there's no balustrade or banister around this area. It's definitely into a room, and the room is vaulted like the ones that you've been in before. It's just if anybody's got, you can roll your any religion or anything that might give you some indication of what this room is about. You can justify it to me if you wish.
I've got nothing to go on.
I don't have religion, since Bartleby is actually relatively new to the faith in his life, but he does have lore history, perhaps.
Okay then, yeah, so roll that, but it will be a hard roll.
Makes sense. Let me just double check really quick. Okay, I want to make sure there wasn't any additives on it. Can I use a point of luck to flip it?
You would need to, if you flipped it.
Oh, no, that wouldn't. Yeah, no, never mind.
You would have to re-roll it.
I forgot that it was on hard for a moment there.
Yeah. Do you want to re-roll it?
Yeah, I'll go for a re-roll.
Okay.
Pow. And
yeah.
1 point off.
You figure that this is probably, relating it to your own church, probably some kind of waiting area. Maybe people would come up the stairs to observe religious practices in here to get changed or whatever before they went out on the balustrade. It seems a bit strange that this room is sealed off, i.e. it's got 4 walls, because you would have thought people would come into this area to look down at the temple, so it seems a bit strange. Hazra, can you just roll a perception roll for me, please?
Certainly.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yes, you need to move forward. You can't just stand here forever.
Is the idea to move into the whole room, to investigate the whole room?
Yes.
Would you like me to go first, just to scout out the way to make sure there's nothing, no traps or anything set?
No, I think that would be fine. That's right. And Hengist is going to move into the room, but he's going to be moving, although looking to the far right-hand southern corner, he's going to be heading towards what he thinks are the stairs.
Okay then.
Just see. He's not going down the stairs. He's going to stop before he gets there, but he's making sure that if anything comes up the stairs, they just see a Hengist.
Okay then. So I'm going to.
As soon as Hengist goes in, and Gulliver's going to go over and start having a look at these paintings.
Okay, so
the only time that he's seen light reflecting off stuff like this is when they were gems.
Yeah. Okay. So when you initially go into the room and you sort of like flood the light, Hengist, that is a set of stairs going down. There doesn't seem to, as the light floods it, there doesn't seem to be any blood or anything on there. But it's definitely a place to come up. You figured the mutant thing that you encountered probably came up there. Bartleby and Hazra, you can see that there's a corridor or a doorway off to the south that leads somewhere. I haven't moved you up to it or anything like that, just in case you don't want to. Gulliver, roll your locale for me.
No.
Yeah, these are not gems. Whatever it is, it looks like it's been painted on with something, but you do notice that it's been painted on after the animals were painted.
Can I touch it?
Yeah.
Can I reach out and
Yeah, it's totally dry. It just seems to be. It looks almost like iridescent. You're not. Maybe it's some kind of dye or something like that. But
have a look on the floor as well to see whether or not any of it, if there's any on the actual floor, whether or not the light reflects off any on the floor, whether or not it's been done sort of like hastily,
okay then,
or by somebody who's not accustomed to doing it, and they've sort of like dripped stuff all over the place.
Yeah, so you sort of like can start looking at that. Roll me a perception roll for that. Hengist, Bartleby, and Hazra, what would you like to do?
Well, Hazra will move up to Hengist and say, "There's a room down there. I think you have a torch. Maybe follow me. I can have a quick look through the entrance."
Who was that to? Sorry.
To Bartleby.
Bartleby, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said Hengist.
So did I.
Yeah.
Because I was just about to say Hengist doesn't have a torch.
I might do. Sorry.
Hengist just looks at his hands. He's a shield and a sword.
No.
It's a trick.
So it has right. So I mean, you'll need to sort of like come to this to start looking down in it. Hazard, just roll me a perception roll while you're there. Gulliver, they look like they've definitely been painted on, but you don't think whoever did it is not a great artist. It almost like looks as if somebody's had a stick with a bit of cloth on the end
And just sort of like been dabbing it.
Yeah, you know, it's almost like childlike in it with the way it looks. Okay, so Bartleby, you can make me a perception roll as well. Yeah, so Hazra, you sort of like look down onto the corridor. It's definitely not a corridor. It's a balcony, a bit like the one on the opposite side. You notice that there's various wooden benches that have been overturned and smashed. Maybe something like a viewing gallery, perhaps. You also notice, because you can see, I think, some of the... can you see these parts here?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
So that would be where there's a wooden balustrade there, and you can see that it's been removed or smashed. The little bit, whatever it is, it's no longer a protection down there. You think, but you're not too sure from the angle you are at, that the eastern wall maybe has something painted on it. But at this distance and with the limited light, it's very difficult. There doesn't seem to be anything. Well, you can't hear anything alive on here. And Hengist, there's nothing, no noise coming from down the spiral staircase at the moment.
Gulliver's going to go up to Hengist and he's going to say, "I think we need to find the main place of worship, the main worshipping hall, Hengist."
That's where I would have thought they would be as well. looks like with a statue. It could be down there. That would be my guess. Where's Hazra and Bartleby?
We're just down here. I think that this is all whispered, by the way. I think it might be worth just having a quick look through here.
Yeah, even if you're going to whisper, who are you whispering to? You can whisper to Bartleby, but you can't whisper face. Like, not from that distance. How far is it? So like 6 meters away.
Have you seen the size of Hengist's ears?
They're tiny, mate, which is why I failed all my perception checks.
Yeah, his perception's like 14 or something.
Hey, it's a lot better than it used to be.
Okay, in which case, it works for Bartleby. I think maybe just have a quick look through here. It seems quiet. Let's just have a quick look. I'll move to the entrance, just through the entrance. Have that Bartleby will follow me.
Yes, I will. Most definitely.
Okay,
and
so
I'll probably try and signal to, like, if Gulliver and Hengist are looking, I'll just like put up just a 1 moment kind of hand gesture.
yeah, so Gulliver and Hengist, you see Hazra and Bartleby head off to the doorway, and they sort of like Hazra sort of like disappears. And your light that you're carrying, it's suddenly when you get to this point, when you get to the doorway, that you suddenly realise now that it's shining out over the
balcony.
Yeah, over the balcony now. Beforehand,
it's like a lighthouse.
Yeah. So yeah, you can see that exactly what I said before. It goes quite some way. You can see that it goes straight down to the temple below. There are definitely paintings on the eastern wall, Hazra. You can see them a lot clearer now that the light has sort of like flooded this area.
Is it a scenario of an area, or is it just a random painting of?
Well, yeah. Well,
can I try locale or
no? I was going to tell you what you can see. So it looks like the same as the forest scenes as before, but very similar to the rest of the temple. It looks like somebody has added things, and there's almost like crudely painted humanoid creatures stabbing things or holding aloft hearts, and there's red blood that's been sort of like splattered around the animals. It's definitely been added onto it rather than in the original scenario, and it's very crudely done. It seems to be the people from their the way they've been drawn, you figure they are female, but you notice that there's several things that are almost like disturbing, in the sense that they don't look like they've only got 2 arms. They look like some of them have 3 arms with an extra arm sprouting out of their chest or coming up over their backs. And there's even just by you there seems to be a depiction of one of these actually seems to be eating one of the beasts. You notice that its jaw is sort of like overextended, and it's sort of like hideously wide as it sort of like aims for the head of a deer or something like that. Are the original drawings not or pictures on the wall have not been altered from what I know? So this is the original. See, that's the alteration on top of them.
Oh, sorry, that's not right. Sorry, my apologies. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And could you please make a perception check for me, please? Yeah.
Gulliver's going to he's going to walk over and he's going to tap Bartleby on the.
It goes.
I was just thinking that Bartley's probably looking at the paintings, wondering what kind of goblins these are. Go over, go. Don't be so sneaky like that.
I know you have a passion for religion, and your thirst for knowledge sometimes outweighs your better judgment, but don't really have a time to take a guided tour of the temple. We need to find the main worshipping hall. We need to find out what's happened. All these, whatever's happened in this temple's happened a long time ago. The paint is all dry, and it's taken a lot of time to change things like the statue.
Indeed. I think they were already here. And if they're already here, that means somebody already invaded this church. And if we're looking for a chalice or whatnot, Gulliver, then we ought to look in all of the non-obvious places.
Hengist, do you have your Discord open?
Hengist does.
But we already know that they had at least a week head start on us, and there was lots of them. So if the place has been, if they were searching for it, they would have found it by now. We need to find out where they are, not where the chalice is.
Oh, well, that is a good point. Are you saying we should be getting out of here?
What did those tablets say? They talked about the chaos and the worshipping and the sacrifice and the children. Well, they wouldn't do that in a library. It would be done in the main place of worship. You don't go into the library to praise Amriel, do you?
I sometimes do. Our library has beautiful skylights. If you go in there at night, you can get some good reading done and praise Amriel at the same time. Not like this church. I don't know what's wrong with their places. I agree. We should make haste. Hazard.
Can you roll initiatives for me, please?
Hengist rolls higher than a one-digit number.
So if you're watching the stream, just to let you know, initiative is a D10 in this game, and then the players have a certain degree of initiative bonus to add to it. And then that organises the order of the initiative as things come into play. Then the initiatives are organised in combat rounds, and each round has numerous turns in where each of the players can act and use an action point. Okay, so it's actually this actually happens. If we were in rounds, it actually happens at the end of the round. Okay, so this will happen. Hengist, you failed that perception roll, and so this happens, and as this happens, then you all burst into action. And don't worry, it is quite obvious what happens, because as you're not caught unawares, Hengist, you don't lose any initiative or anything like that, but what you do fail to realise is that you didn't hear it coming up the stairs, and due to the curvature of it. So as you sort of like stood there, all of a sudden what appears to be it's not that big, don't worry.
Okay.
Put up the stairs.
What appears to be another one of these mutants sort of like charges up the last bit of the stairs into combat. This one looks slightly different to the other one. You notice it has some kind of armor on, and it also seems to be carrying a short sword. It definitely looks like more of a trooper rather than a miner. Okay then, so that initiates combat. So we're going into combat round 1, turn 1. Can you see the order or not?
Yes.
Yes, but Hazra should be going before Bartleby because I'm sure his initiative bonus is higher than 9.
Do we have this? I thought yours was 9. Oh, mine's 11. Yes.
Yeah, I've got my mangled hands. I have a hard time.
So Hazra goes before Bart. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay
if
then.
you just hover over the initiative numbers, it shows
Yeah.
you the bonuses of people.
Now, just to remind you,
7. Sorry.
just to remind you about the lighting here. I don't know if you can remember that if you're on the edge of the dimness, yeah, then it's a hard roll, and if you're in the main area, it is a standard roll, but if you're on the edge, then it's a hard roll because of the light. So yeah, so you're sort of like all there, and then all of a sudden this mutant, it doesn't sort of like slither out to you, Hengist. It seems to have quietly come up the stairs and then waited a while and then literally surged out and used its movement to engage into combat round, and it lets out almost like quite a wild cry, and people at the far end, you sort of like hear this and sort of like turn around and see this creature in line in front of Hengist. It's wielding a short sword at the moment. So Gulliver, you start off with 19. What would you like to do?
Okay, so Gulliver's first thing is to move to one side. He wants to move to about there, and he's going to be casting a spell on his next action.
Okay, just 1 second.
Right.
Yeah, I dropped something, and as I went down, my hips just went clunk 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 clunk.
Okay, so you do a movement action and take it over to there. Okay then, so Hazra, you're next. Remember you can move through Bartleby.
That was my first question. Thank you.
Yeah, but you can't land. You can move through friendly tokens, but not enemy tokens. As long as you can't land on top of. Well, you can stop on top of Bartleby, but it'll be more of a friendly hug.
Okay, so I'm going to move through there, and I want to move up to here, so I'm engaging as well with Hengist.
Okay then, cool. So that's your movement, and Bartleby 18.
Monster's still in the shadows, and Bartleby wants to get a better look. So
you sort of like go to cast a spell on Hazra, and he suddenly runs past you, and where you go.
I use the momentum from him pushing past me to move forward as well, since everybody's all of a sudden.
I just imagine Bartleby just running after him.
Yeah. Whereabouts would you like to move to?
I'm thinking about here. If I
did hear him as he moved past you saying, "You're it."
Yeah.
That's right.
You're it.
Yeah. So so I'm just drawing my little person. Okay then. Because I don't like altering what's on things, so I draw a little person like that.
Who's that supposed to be?
No, it's for my armor and hit points.
Ah, right.
Oh.
So I can take off, and if I have more than one, I just quickly draw more than one. So Hengist, we're up
You need
to
a
you.
template so you can just print it out.
Yeah, but sometimes you do a whole adventure and nothing happens.
Sorry.
My fault.
Hengist, we're up to you.
Hengist is going to use a free action towards locations up to 3.
Okay then, so just mark off on your character sheet.
I've done that. You don't need to know them, do you?
Well, I can look if I need to see them.
That's right, they're marked. So that's his free action, and then he's going to use his main action to attack this vile creature that has decided to jump out on the party rather rudely.
Okay. Hang on, I've just forgot to get my...
And fails with style.
Oh, fails with style. That's cool. That's all right then.
Very cool.
Let me just get that on.
Beautiful circular attack that kind of... And the creature just goes...
Yeah, and it's sort of like...
half a meter away
my
from him.
leg.
And it will...
What's it armed with? Sorry.
short sword.
Sure.
So you're take a swipe at it. You miss, but it's going to use an action to defend in any case, just in case it manages to get something nice. Sorry, ignore that. I just rolled 65.
So we can't see it anyway. So
yeah, it's all right. I thought...
Chat, ignore it.
It didn't happen, chat.
There you go.
I saw that one. Yeah.
So its skill level is 65, and it rolled a 61. So it will have
a special.
a special as he goes on to it. Da, 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 da. Ba, 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 ba.
I would use trip opponent.
No, the one that I wanted to use, but I can't remember whether or not it's a crit or not. Is disarm opponent a critical?
Disarm opponent? No, it's not. It's an offensive and defensive.
Yeah. So I'll use that. So target makes a combat style roll versus the disarmer's original roll. If they fail, the weapon is flung a distance equal to the disarmer's damage modifier in meters. Each size of the step in the size of weapon increases the target's difficulty by 1 grade if larger, or decreases it. So you need to roll your combat style. My roll is 61, so you need to succeed, and it's an opposed roll.
Would it not be his first roll that he rolled? Is that not what it goes on?
Well, it just says target makes a combat roll versus, because I'll check it in a later date. So yeah, so this beast, this trooper, and you figure he's quite okay with fighting. It seems to have remembered some of its actual knowledge, and he sort of like whacks out as your hand as it sort of like goes past, but luckily it doesn't. It sort of like clatters across your gauntlet, but that's about it, and that's the end of round. Oh no, now it's my turn to attack, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, so it rolls its attack roll. It's attacking you, Hengist, obviously, because Hazra, you're moving up through this round, so you're slowly getting there eventually. So it takes another swing at you, but it misses altogether. That. Do you wish to defend against it?
We'll try and parry that with his sword. Yes.
Okay, so cross off your thing. Yeah, so you'll gain 1 special on it.
You know what he's going to do.
Compel surrender.
No. Trick opponent is what I'm going to try and do.
Yeah.
I've got to remember what that means now, though. That's not what I want. Thunder, that's not what I want. Character attempts to overbalance or throw his opponent to the ground. The opponent must make an opposed roll of his brawn, evade, or acrobatics against the character's original roll.
So your original roll was a 38.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's brawn, evade, or acrobatics.
So I can do any one of those.
Yes.
Okay then. Well, I'm naturally going to use my highest one for that.
Yep.
Yeah, he does succeed, but he only rolls a 6.
Yeah, that's a crit.
That's a crit. Yeah.
So that's a crit. So therefore, I do succeed.
Yep, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay then.
So Hengist would have, after the parry, he would have sort of like gone for sort of like try to whack you in the side of the knee with the flat of his blade, but nothing happens.
Yeah, cool. Okay then. So we're going into combat turn 2 now. So for people watching the stream, each round is 6 seconds. So we're still within the first 6 seconds of the round. So Gulliver, we're back to you on 19.
Holding the torch in his left hand, Gulliver points at this creature with his 2 fingers crossed, and you hear him say, "Erit," as he casts this spell, which you can resist via endurance. His roll is a 95, but he's going to use a point of luck, so I got 59 on a standard.
He fails his roll, so his rolls are now hard, yeah?
Indeed.
Yeah,
as
cool.
He suddenly becomes fatigued.
He certainly does look fatigued. He looked quite invigorated a moment beforehand, but now Hengist and Hazra, as you notice him, he almost like seems to beads or sweat seem to break out in his brow, and you notice that his swings are getting a lot less accurate and swinging away. Hazra, it's up to you.
Hazra will lean back and then thrust his spear for an impale on this this creature.
Yeah, so that's a special. He's got no action points left, so he can't defend it. So I need special hit locations and damage.
So impale hit location will be 19,
which is his head.
Yep.
Classic Hazra.
Yeah,
I know.
Classic. So two damage rolls. We'll take the biggest.
2 damage rolls will be a 3 and a please.
Let's take the 8.
I'll take the 3 9. Yes.
So that's 2. Yeah. So you sort of like whack him in the head. You obviously seem to part his skin, and you notice that his hair is all sort of like dangling and sort of like thinning out, and you sort of like he sees it coming. It's not a perfect hit, but it sort of like slices down his face. You notice that the thick leathery skin parts somewhat, but you know,
trapping my spear inside.
Yeah, you figured that a normal blow like this would have taken probably a normal man out. But yeah, so your spear is actually sort of like stuck in his head at the moment, and we're going to you, Bartleby.
So my goal here with what I want to do this turn is I want to see if I can notice anything that might be like a mutation that's hidden, like a third arm, like lying flat against the back.
Okay, so you can use your free action to make a perception roll.
Okay, that works too.
Yeah, you don't see anything. It looks just like a nasty, dirty troop of some description.
All right. In that case, I'm going to use my turn to move up to here, so that next turn I can peer down the stairwell.
Okay, cool. And then Hengist, we're up to you.
So Hengist is going to take advantage of it being impaled, and he's going to attack.
Yeah, so you'll have special hit location damage, please.
So special will be choose location head.
Okay.
And damage is where is it? There it is. 9.
9. Okay, this is its endurance roll because it's now below 0, just endurance 56. Yeah, so it will make his endurance, but I'm just rolling 1d3. Well, it takes so long for 1d3s to roll. I feel like saying you're rolling, just roll a d6 and divide it by 2. So he's got a serious. Oh, hang on a minute. What was the original roll? Sorry. No, 72. It doesn't make it because it's a post roll. I'm surprised you didn't pull me up on that one, Chugs.
I tend not to pull up you up on things.
So you actually win that roll, so he doesn't actually get his thing. So you sort of like whack him in the head as well, and this creature falls to the ground. It lets out. Hazra, you pull your spear out the way. There's no need to make a roll or anything, and it just sort of like goes to the ground, and you notice that there seems to be quite a lot of deep red blood, not surface blood, deep red arterial blood, sort of like oozing out and forming a puddle as it falls to the ground. Just so you know, Bartleby, you sort of like look over the balcony, the staircase. It's definitely a spiral staircase, and I'm just 1 second. I just want to see. I can't remember whether or not the dragon is at this point, or sorry, the lich, or whether or not that's somewhere else.
I'm just waiting for another Zargolf or Zargeist, whatever it was, to suddenly appear.
Yeah,
No!
You sort of like look down, down into the spiral stair. It does go down. It goes round the corner, but you don't get the sense that there's anything big down there. It might go into either corridor or room. You can sort of like see down at the bottom now.
Now that I've probably heard that the scuffling has ceased.
Yeah, and you can see Hengist is probably wiping his blade on Hazra's pajamas, and or whatever you fighters do.
Drop a leg. Yeah.
I have a question about the body, actually, if I can investigate.
Yeah.
I'd like to examine the blood, specifically how thick it is compared to human blood, or if it's just the same viscosity.
Yeah.
You want me to roll healing?
Yeah, healing would be fine.
Ow. That's a success at a hard.
Cool. I've managed to get something on. Oh, there it goes. Done it. Success on a hard. Yeah. It does look slightly thicker. It seems to, via your healing, you know that that blood is made up of several things, and that there's something in there that helps fight infection, and there's something. I mean, this is probably ludicrous, but you heard a religious man once saying that oxygen is actually the air that we breathe is actually transported around the blood, which it sounds. I mean, there's no bubbles there, so I mean, come off it. There's no gas in there at all. But you also know that there's something that keeps it very fluid. And looking at this, it seems a lot thicker than what you would normally see, but that's just looking at it, and unless you actually want to get some in your fingers and rub it between.
Not my fingers, but maybe the end of my club. I want to tap it, and I want to tell my friends.
Yeah, to actually test the viscosity of it, you're going to have to You can put some on your club if you wish, but it's the actual movement of it between your fingers that would actually tell you whether or not it's thicker or not.
I don't know if I'm brave enough for that. But I'm gonna tell my friends regardless. I think the life flows slower from these creatures.
What does that mean?
Yes, well, please explain.
I don't think they lead as readily as us. I'm just concerned about these things. I don't know what they're capable of. I'm just glad that they don't have blood of fire or something.
Maybe we should just find what we're looking for, then get out.
Good idea. We've
Quickly.
encountered 2 of these things, and they've both screamed quite loudly. I think we should move on. I'm going to start heading down the stairs.
Okay. What?
All in behind Hengist.
Okay. So, what's the order then? Hengist, Gulliver.
Bartleby 3.
Yep, I'll be bringing the rear.
Wait, just do as much as you can anyway.
Just do as much as you can.
Yes.
One more time. Can we help him?
Asra, nobody's criticising, but just do as much as you
Just
can.
do as much as you can.
To be fair, it's nice to be at the back and not doing all the heavy lifting.
Well, yeah, just do as much as you can.
Just do as much as you can. That's all we ask.
The thought that counts.
Yeah, it's just being here is nice. Just you being here, moral support. Just do what you can.
Okay. I'm going to move you.
For Christ's sake, just do his homework for him. Do what you can, and then I'll finish it off so you get an A.
No, you don't want to. That'll be suspicious. Always go for the B.
Okay, I'm going to move you over. You might have to do some adjustments to actually find out where you are, because remember we're zoomed in quite a way. Got it? So
Yes.
you're actually in a room, a very small room that seems to just have this spiral staircase going up. The doorway in front of you is literally a doorway with no door there, exactly like the other place. You do notice as you come down the spiral staircase that there used to be brackets, like circular brackets that would have had like a rope going round it that forms some kind of banister.
Oh, banister.
You know, something to hold to go up and down. You notice that the metal circular things are still there,
Like the rings.
yeah, but there's no rope at all. There's not even tatters of it. It looks almost as if somebody has pulled it out and left it, and then just left the circular bits. You can see, Hengist, as the light from Gulliver's and Bartleby's torch sort of like flood forward, you notice that is actually a corridor in front of you.
Okay. So Hengist is going to continue. So he's going to go into the doorway, and then he's going to pause for a heartbeat as he looks left and east and west to try and work out which way and get his bearings, because he's trying to head to the main statue room, which he believes is to his east, if you can go that way.
Well, the main. Do you mean the thing that you saw above?
Yes, yeah. So
Yeah,
when we
so-
were on the balcony, we looked down into that room.
Yeah.
with the
So
big
if you imagine
mutated creature.
your so this was at the northeastern corner of the room above.
Yeah.
And the balcony was sort of like
Let's say east and then
southwest. So
I meant west. Sorry.
it would be down here somewhere.
Yeah, sorry, dyslexic moment, meant west.
Yeah, but yeah, you can. So Shaw's Gulliver sort of like moves up behind you, and more light floods the corridor. You can see that it's definitely going east-west. You can see off to the west there seems to be a turn in the corridor where that bit of light is. So that's sort of like a corridor. You get the feeling that the corridors progress in both directions. It doesn't. It looks. You get the feeling that you're most definitely in a corridor rather than in a room.
Okay. Hengist is going to continue out into the main corridor, so he gets a better view of the east and west.
Yeah, so as you sort of like step out into the corridor, I'm just moving you forward a little bit, Gulliver, because I know where you're light.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So you can see now that the corridor does go both east and west. Sorry, I'm just going to have to refresh Roll20 because it's just crashed.
Oh my lordy.
I don't know.
Only Roll20 can save us now.
It's loading. It's opening planar transport. Like it
What
does.
comes up with these things?
Well,
When you start it off, sort of like the random things. I know that Discord.
What's that Discord? Yeah,
Discord does it as well. Yeah. Okay. Then.
Discord had people voting for them.
So just let me sort of like tell you what you can see. So this to the east, there's a doorway. It seems to go into. It looks like it's a further corridor, and you're not too sure. It looks very similar to the corridor that you went down the dormitory route, if you remember, upstairs. You also notice that the corridor in front of you, there seems to be almost like a bisecting crossroads. So there's a doorway to the north and a doorway to the south. And you can just see it on the edge of your torchlight in the darkness. Can you see this here?
I can indeed.
It looks like it looks like a statue, like in an alcove. If you know, so it's definitely some kind of a statue. You can see sort of like a bit of an arm, but it looks like it's sort of like poking out as if it's maybe an alcove there, and it stood in the front.
Okay. Hengist is going to whisper behind him, I'm going to try west, unless anybody else thinks differently.
Sounds good.
And then it's going to go west.
West seems to be heading to the middle, so yes.
And he's going to advance as far as to the next north-south bit.
Yeah, so you
Whoever's going to appear around this corridor.
okay, so you notice as you peer round that corridor,
Like sort of like putting his head round with the torch so that he can see round it.
yeah, it seems
Hengist stood there to be attacked in 3 directions.
you sort of like look down this corridor, and the first thing that you notice as you look down is that the walls seem to be blackened. It's some kind of burning, as if something's been set on fire, or as if something's, maybe some powerful magic's being blown up here. It definitely looks like there's no black in the corridor that you're at, and as you look down the corridor, Gulliver, it gets blacker, more black. So it almost like looks as if there might have been some kind of fire coming from the room to the south, coming up this corridor. Hengist, you're Hazrat, assuming you're keeping an eye out behind as usual.
I am indeed. Yeah.
Your corridor up, you can see it looks like a bit like a corridor alcove, and you can see sort of like here there seems to be various items of furniture sort of like tipped over. There's a table and a stool. It looks like it's just been knocked over, and then that's it. The other thing, Hengist, that you can see is that it's definitely a statue in that doorway.
Okay.
However, it's a statue in a doorway. From where you are now, you can tell that it isn't an alcove. It's actually a statue wedged in a doorway, most definitely. And just before we take our break, I just want to see what Hazra can see down the back. Hazra, as you sort of like keep looking behind, you do notice that there seems to be something on. You can see the flagstones, and then there seems to be something on them. From this distance, you're not too sure. Well, make a perception roll. Yeah, as you look down, it seems completely strange, but it looks as if there's some kind of grain over the flagstones. It sort of like starts just sort of like here at the edge of it, but it definitely looks like grain has been scattered over the flagstone.
Yeah.
Does Gulliver have any knowledge of what might have been, whether or not there's any sorcery spells that could have caused this amount of fire damage?
Yeah, which do me.
I've got. I don't think Order of the Kraken would do it. I was thinking of maybe something like a harder invocation roll.
Yeah, okay, that sounds fair enough.
Or maybe a shaping.
And maybe shaping is probably because that's how you manipulate your spells, isn't it? Yeah.
So I'll roll my shaping.
Yeah, you figure it might have been something like I'm just seeing what it's actually called before I give you the information. Let's find it, and then we'll take our break. Yeah, you think it's some kind of elemental blast.
Okay, and seeing it was a crypt, do I know which order knows the spell?
Well, it's really to do with the shaping. So, I mean, it could be like your rack spell.
Right. Maybe the Order of the Phoenix equivalent to my rack.
Yeah, I mean, you know that the Red Order, the Order of the Phoenix, specializes in fire and heat and magic, so it would definitely be there. The one thing that you do know, by the way, is that this is not recent.
Right, but it's only the walls that are covered in ash and such.
Yeah, it's just like scorch marks, as if something.
There's nothing on the floor, like.
I mean, no. I mean, it looks as if it's just sort of like flooded down on either side.
Okay, I'm done then.
Okay then, so let's take our break there. We're just going to, if you're watching the stream, we're going to have a quick 10-minute break when we just refill our drinks and have a bathroom stop. So go away, stretch your legs, and come back in about 10 minutes time when we'll see what is lurking on this ground floor level of the Temple of the Chaos Mother. Hope you're enjoying it, and we will be right back. turning you on. Now, are you appropriately turned on?
Oh, yes.
What a question in Wales.
Can you not tell?
Yeah. I thought I haven't had any
Meat?
my
Oh.
my catacombs noise isn't playing.
I can hear it.
I can hear it.
It's just started now, I think. Okay then, so you're deep under, you're down to the ground level, or if second floor, this could be, you could have been on the top floor, now you're on the second floor. You don't know how many floors are beneath. You know that your corridor down here enters into a room, your corridor to the north enters into a room, and 18 appears to be some kind of, there seems to be, sorry, here there seems to be some kind of statue blocking the doorway. So yeah, where would you like to go?
Before going further, can I just noticing these this grain on the floor behind me?
Yeah.
Can I use my well, I've seen something I think is quite similar, where when we're tracking, we'd leave leaves behind us, crispy leaves, so we could hear anybody going over them. Do I think it's just a random spread of grain, or would it be something more like a sound warning?
From where you are now, it just looks like grain.
Okay,
it's only catching in the edge of Bartleby's torchlight at the moment.
Okay, so it could be just supplies.
Yeah, it could be just supplies, yeah.
Bartleby, my friend, there's some grain. Seems to have spilled over the floor behind us.
I just feel that Bartleby's in this place, surrounded by everybody else, and he's just like on constant alert.
Follow me.
Bartleby, our go-to role-playing buddy. If all else fails,
Bartleby will be here.
Bartleby.
Bartleby
he can
is just
save us
terrified underground and away from Amriel's light. And when Hazard brings this up, I'm not in the mood for a snack right now. I'm sorry, Hazard.
I'm thinking of rats and noise. That's fine. If you think it's safe, I believe you, my friend.
Grain, though? Why?
Grain on the floor through the door, look.
I'll nudge Hengist. There's grain back there on the floor.
Right. Yes. This. Thank you, Bartleby. Gulliver, I think we should just. Shall we? Let's go left. Let's go to the south, and Hazra, just watch out. There's a room to the north. There might be something in there, but I doubt it. It would have sprung by now.
Yes, Hengist.
Hengist is going to move to the next doorway towards the south.
Okay. Okay.
All the way.
Can I not just move him in just so that I can move forward? So
Yeah.
there we go. Thank you.
Okay, so let me just adjust the map so I can see what you can see. Yeah, okay then. So shows you sort of like get into this room. There's something, this appears to be some kind of library. It's not like the one that you found upstairs, Gulliver, that was full of tablets. This is, or should I say was, full of books. The bookcases and a lot of the books seem to have been burnt and scorched. A lot of the bookcases are fallen over. There seems to be been set on fire too, or burnt somehow. The whole room's in complete disarray. Out to the west, the corridor continues, but you also notice just here that there seems to be a doorway going to the south. There is also a doorway here going to the south as well, and the corridor continues down in this direction.
So Angus is going to Move in the room. Move into the room. He's going to move towards the closest doorway, so that's the one to the west.
Hengist, what was further down the other corridor?
The previous corridor.
Yes.
I don't know. We didn't go all the way down.
Okay. Gulliver will follow.
Following as well.
Okay.
And then he's going to move around and start to move into the next
Okay then.
doorway.
Yeah. Okay then. So move everybody around. So yeah. So you have a brief whispered conversation in there. Then you turn around and you go to the first doorway that's heading south. This is not a doorway like the others. What you can see here and ahead of you, Hengist, is the temple that you saw up above. This part here is the dais that the statue is stood on. It seems to be more of an opening into it, maybe for processing and things like that. It seems to be an opening, so it doesn't look like it was an actual doorway that had a door in. It looks more like an entrance. Gulliver, you can tell that the corridor continues to the edge of your light, and you can sort of like see it heading further to the west. You figure that you are underneath that top corridor. So the top corridor is probably here, the same as where you are now. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it would mean whatever was on that corridor that's now to the north of us doesn't look like any doorways or etc. joined onto this corridor that we could see.
Say that again, sorry.
So the corridor that was going up along here, that we just down here, but there was at least one doorway along here.
Yes.
So it doesn't look like it joins onto this.
It just looks like it might do at the end. They might turn around and join together. But this corridor is actually definitely running parallel to the corridor you were on before. So you figure that this wall here is the wall to 16 where the spiral staircase came down. You figure now that this wall is opposite the doorway with the statue up against.
Which one? Which this one?
Yeah, that one. So that's sort of like back. Did you see that?
No, I'm not seeing any of your clicks.
Oh no, sorry. Hang on, I know why. That one.
Yeah. So the doorway with the statue on was over here, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or no,
like,
further along about.
Sort of. Well, no, you're about roughly about opposite now.
Right.
Okay. So Hengist is going to whisper behind him. Said, "This seems to be the main chamber. Be wary, because I think I remember it being rather large." And then he's going to step through.
Gulliver's just sort of like he's almost thinking, and he almost forgets that Hengist is going in front of him, and he turns to Bartleby and says, "Well, why do you think that statue was blocking the doorway, Bartleby, on that other corridor?"
I didn't. Over. That's. What did it have? Another arm sticking out of it, or was it a regular statue of a person?
It looked like a regular statue, but nobody went.
Don't know. But
That's what I assumed.
Yeah.
for it to be in the middle of a doorway, it's either been put there to stop something getting out or to protect that whatever was in the room from whatever was in the rest of the temple.
Or it moved on its own.
I've never
Have
seen.
I told you any of those stories of the monstrous statues that walked about at night?
No.
Oh, it's a common one, and perhaps I should tell that when we're by a campfire under beautiful moonlight rather than in here.
It obviously didn't seem too important now. And he's going to go back over to where Hengist is.
Following as well.
Okay, so obviously, where you are now, why does it keep doing that to me? Oh, I know why. So you can see there's the vastness of this hall. You can tell that it goes on, and you're definitely below where you are now. Now, I don't want to. If you want to investigate this place, then I don't think it's worth playing through the game saying, I take a step forward, I take a step forward. I think it's probably better that if we say, this is what you would like to do here, and then go from there. Does that sound all right to people?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So, well, this is quite a vast space. So if each of you want to tell me roughly what you're doing, and then I can tell you what happens.
Okay, so Gulliver's going to, as we're all sort of like huddled there, he's going to say, why don't you and... He's going to turn to Hazra, and he's going to say, why don't you and Bartleby go round to the west, and me and Hengist will go round to the east, and we can map out the room, and then meet over by the statue and decide what we're going to do from there.
Yes, that sounds a good idea, because I was going to go and have a look for any tracks, because I'm assuming that the floor is quite bitty and gritty, and it's been here.
If you remember,
it looks to be.
If you remember when you came down, it's just sort of like looks very unused. One of the weird things when you first came down here was that it was incredibly clean.
Lack of dust. Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
So sorry. What's the partnerships?
Hengist and Gully going eastward.
Okay.
Sorry, westward round.
Yeah.
And Hazra, and then going eastward, and Bartleby going back to this statue.
So what I'm going to put you into various places and tell you what's there, and then you can literally move your characters around the rest of it as you go around. So I'm just going to move you both sort of like, can you see places ahead of you now? So the pillars, the circles are pillars, and they go right straight up to the vaulted ceiling. Okay, so you're looking up now, and you can see this huge ceiling above you. You can also see where bits of the volcanic ash have plummeted through, and if you remember on those gaps, there's now wedged stones up there, and all of you sort of like get this feeling that it's probably not a good idea to walk underneath those. This part here that you can both see at your sides, that is a pile of ash. So those are where the holes are up above. Does that make sense to people?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So if you find anything like that, that's where it is. As you come, both parties come to the front of the statue, you can see it, and yeah, if you remember, the various things have been added to it. And one of the things that you do notice is that almost like where this woman's womb would be, it's been hacked away in the statue, and there's almost like a little alcove has been made to put something in there. So exactly where the statue's womb would be, so a little bit lower than stomach, etc. It looks about, if you can see in my camera, it looks about this tall.
I don't have your camera on.
About a foot tall.
Yeah, about 30 centimeters by about 30 centimeters wide. It's very flat on the bottom, but then it's almost like it's being chiseled out. It definitely looks like it held something. If anybody would like to get closer to it, then we can deal with that, but you'll probably do the rest of the room first. So I'm just going to move you both down either side, so you can see how vast the room is, and it's only when you meet again back down here. So this here is the entrance, okay, but you can see that it was once a doorway. It looks as if the ashes sort of and volcanic rock has forced its way in and spread out. So this is where the original door would have been, which is now bottom to top of volcanic ash and rubble. You can see elements and parts of the door, and it looks like it's been splintered and pushed in. You're not too sure whether or not it's done by a creature or whether or not it's just the ash and rock sort of like plummeting it in. Throughout the temple, as you go around, there seems to be these any pictures on the wall, paintings on the wall have been defaced in various ways, so a lot like the carnage that you've already seen, you know, and then that's it. So once you get, so you can move your characters round if you wish, but that gives you the general area. If you're interested, there's one, two, three. There's 4 lines of pillars. So this is line 1. This is line 2. I think you can just see. Can you see line? Oh no, you. If I
there, yeah.
And then there's the other line right through it up. So that sort of like gives you an idea of the vastness of it. Yeah. So if anybody would like to check or look at anything else, so I'm just imagining that you've sort of like walked round and got the feeling of it. And what I'll do, I'll pop you all back in the middle. So you're roughly in the middle now. And if there's anything that anybody would like to go and have a look at particularly,
I think we should probably have a look at the statue, because that, if anywhere where the chalice might be, it could be near the statue. That seems to be some sort of central worshipping point. Don't you agree?
Indeed.
Okay, is everybody going to the statue?
Yes. I'm more concerned about why would they take out the lady's stomach?
Well, Hazard, I'm certain that this is a church of fertility or agriculture, and taking out the fertility of the goddess would be quite an insult.
Sorry, if you want to move your tokens, I've just moved you all up to 1 point, so you can move them wherever you would like to stand if there's a certain place. Sorry, the other thing that I should have said, can you just see Gulliver? I think you should be able to see. Can you see here?
Sorry.
I can, yes.
Yeah? So that's a similar entrance to the one that you came through. So it looks like there was two tunnel entrances that priests could parade through, yeah, and into the main temple. So the one that you came through on the east there's an exact replica on the west. Yeah, so you're all stood up by, probably be a little bit around the opposite way, probably.
Bartleby, can you remember the text that we found in the about the Chaos Mother?
Indeed. The Tomb of the Chaos Mother? That's what I had worried this was, since it fits many of the classifications.
And the things that we've been fighting. Did the text not say about the shamans or the elemental shamans turning prisoners and sacrifices and worshippers into the chaos hybrids? And that's really what they were, because they weren't really men and they weren't chaos beasts. But would that mean that the rift is also down here?
That's what I set up on the surface. That was my hesitation for wanting to come down in this place to begin with. Stepping into the lair of our greatest enemy that took several gods and goddesses to seal.
If anybody would like to make a perception roll about the nearer to the statue, there is some more information to get.
Yes. Yes. I got a standard.
I got a hard.
Hengist is like, it's a statue.
Yep. Okay, so let's have a look. Bartleby, yes. Hengist. Hazra, you can roll another one. Cheers. Yeah. Okay then. So the statue looks very deformed. It seems to have had extra things added to it here, there, and everywhere. But now that you're closer to it, you can see this this shelf in the where the woman's womb would be, and looking closer, you're not touching anything. It suddenly looks as if something was once standing in there. You can see that it probably had a circular base. You can see that there's quite a stain on the stone, as if things might have been dripping round it, but it's been there for a while and now it's been removed, and so the different colours of the stone are quite marked. Whatever it was is probably there for quite a long time, but it's definitely, there's no other sign at all there.
How high up is it, this alcove?
You could probably, if you sort of like get close, you could probably reach up to see it.
Yeah, Gulliver's going to get close.
Yeah.
And reach up and see whether or not there's anything, whether or not he can feel anything left that remains.
Yeah, I mean, you can see into it from where you are, and there's a bit of dust and gravel, and not gravel, like mini gritty like gravel, but it's just that whatever it was, there was definitely something stood in the middle, and the circle was about this big, if you can see the camera.
Almost like the base of a chalice.
Well, could well possibly be.
Bartleby, I think I heard something from over there and over there. And I'll point to the north and then to the...
So you heard it from here.
Yeah.
The corridor that you came through.
I'll whisper to, or I'll kind of hush over to Hengist. Has her saw something? Heard something?
It's like Chinese whispers, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Donuts in the fridge.
Mate, better get ready then. Could be more of those things.
I'll draw my club and enter a cowardly fighting stance.
Yeah, right. Just one.
What's the statue made out of?
It looks like it's
marble or...
No, it looks... no, not... It's maybe... Roll your locale.
Gravestone granite.
I've got stonesmith. No, I don't really.
It's,
Is it made out of paper?
no, it seems quite quite rough and gritty.
Hmm.
You hear Gulliver say, "I think this could be made out of sand."
Hengist, could you please roll for me an endurance check?
No.
Okay, you notice that you're sort of like looking in, Hazra, you're checking out that corridor, Bartleby's looking up, and Hengist, you're sort of like on guard. And all of a sudden, without any warning at all, your left leg, Hengist,
Falls off.
suddenly gives way. And you just literally, 1 minute you're stood there, and then all of a sudden you go woof, like that, and you literally fall prone onto the ground. You sort of like, you don't drop any. Well, roll your combat skill for me, please. Yeah, you managed to keep hold of your sword and your shield and everything, and you just sort of like suddenly clap down. And just to let you know, you can feel that your leg, it's almost as if it's paralyzed. You seem to have it's as if it's completely gone dead. You know, when somebody gives you a dead leg, it's all twitching, and you just, I mean, you try to bend the knee and you just can't do it. So Gulliver and Bartleby, you suddenly just notice Hengist is suddenly stood there, and then all of a sudden goes boom, like that, and sort of like clatters in his plate mail down onto the floor.
And look at Daenerys to bend the knee.
So too many people talking. Go for it. Tell me what you can both, one of you go and then the other one go, and then I'll put it together. Well, nobody's saying anything now.
I think it was Hazra that said something.
No, mine was silly, so go on.
All right.
Oh, okay. Did we hear anything, or did we just see it?
You heard.
I got a hard roll. I wondered whether or not if anything was said, I wondered whether or not I might have heard anything being said.
You were all looking at.
Right. Okay.
You didn't hear any words or anything.
Okay.
And we're looking at Hengist on the ground now.
Yeah, and he seems to be. He's sort
Kneeling
of like
down to look at something on the floor.
Well, he's probably turned himself round now, so because can you see these are sort of like steps.
Yeah, if there's steps, Hengist will now be sitting on the step.
Yeah, with his back sort of like to the statue, and he's just sort of like almost like trying to massage his leg.
Hengist, I should whisper.
On him.
Say again.
Hengist, what's the matter? What is wrong?
My leg. I can't move my leg. It's like it's gone completely numb.
Definitely looks like it. You feel that it's been paralysed in some way.
Could Bartleby rush to his aid, assuming we don't see anything bug on him biting him?
Yeah, so you sort of like rush over to him. There seems to be nothing on his leg at all.
I'm going to take a wild guess in the dark, and mostly because I miss Amriel and I want to solve the problem. I'm going to try and exhort Amriel down to cure the problem with his leg.
Cool.
And the problem that I think he's having is something related to
if you've got a clear dead leg spell.
I think that he might have inhaled something evil down here, or maybe that mutant
yeah.
spit something in his mouth. I don't know what happened. This is what I'm going to try.
Yeah.
Exhort.
The mutant had dirty fingernails and they're now in his bloodstream.
Maybe. Maybe. Oh, barely a success.
Yeah, you sort of like call down Amriel's power, and you know that's a good roll for standard. 59 would have been better, especially if it's opposed. And you sort of like reach out, and there's Amriel's power comes through you, but it seems to have no effect on the leg, and even to the point that when Bartleby, when you're trying to cure it, it doesn't seem to be injured at all. It's something that you're not familiar with at all.
Perhaps we should move away from the statue.
Bartleby. I think we need Amriel's sight.
Amriel's. Oh, yes. I've. Sorry, having seen Amriel down here, it's made me feel a little bit better. I'll see if she can give me the eyes necessary to see anything hiding. I'm going to go ahead and pray for Amriel's eyes, if I may.
Yeah.
And here is my folksy roll. Can I use a point of luck?
Or you can take minutes. So you can use a point of luck and you'll reverse it to an 18 and succeed, or you can take minutes rather than an instant cast and it would survive as an easy. It's up to you.
I don't want to waste time down here, even though the Amriel is making me feel good. I'm gonna just use a point of luck to reverse.
Yeah, okay then. So you sort of like conjure up your witch sight that allows you to see magic, active magic, etc. And yeah, there seems to be some kind of magic encasing Hengist's leg. It looks as if it's sort of like wrapped around it, almost like a boa constrictor sort of like shape. And when you sort of like look at it, it seems to be some kind of tentacle that is wrapped round it, almost like squeezing it. This does not look like Thesist's spells. This is not divine magic. This is more either
powerful magic.
Yes, you figure it's either some work of spirits, or it's more of Gulliver's sort of like I'm trying to think. Yeah.
Can I ask what color it is?
It's black.
Oh dear. Bartleby will physically like take a step back and go over that. It appears to be non-religious magic. It doesn't seem to be of any god I can see. There's something on his leg. You're the one with the help in this case. Do you think you could solve it? I just point at his leg as if Gulliver can see.
There's something in here.
Does the energy connect to anything, or is it just wrapped around his leg? And that's
it. Just seems to be wrapped around his leg, pulsing, and every time it sort of like goes like that and pulses, and every time it pulses, it just tightens its grip, and then relaxes a bit. And yeah, your leg is still.
Hengist is going to say, "Quick! It seems to be getting whatever it is seems to be getting worse. I can't. It's not getting better as Hengist is now massaging his leg.
He's going to go over, and he's going to sort of like kneel down by Hengist near his leg, and as he kneels down, he's got the torch in his other hand. He's going to start casting a spell, and he holds out his hand, and this ball of blue water slowly starts to appear. and it gets
And you
sort of
teleport his leg to you.
big, and then I just teleport all his gold and stuff, and say, "No, he's dead." And then as it sort of like starts off, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then he almost like smashes it, this ball of glowing liquid, down onto his damaged onto his leg.
Cool.
So the spell that I'm casting is that.
Nice.
Oh.
And I am casting it at magnitude 5.
That's what I need to know.
So I'm using 4 points of shaping to increase the magnitude to.
So people are watching the
5.
stream. There's 2 elements of spell casting. That it's the intensity, which is how powerful the spell is, but there's also its magnitude, and its magnitude is how easy it is to dispel. So what Gulliver is trying to do is to shape his neutralize magic spell to up the magnitude, to try to overcome the magnitude of the spell that is around Hengist's leg. So is your magnitude 5?
I've put 4 points of shaping. So my shaping's 59. My skill. So I have 6 points of shaping that I can put in, and I've put 4 points into this to give it a magnitude of. So 4 points of shaping gives a magnitude of 5.
Okay then. So you spend some time sort of like wrapping the water round, building up the intensity of it, and change.
Invocation will, just so you know.
Yeah, and then you sort of like, when you notice, Bartleby, that this almost like pool of water seems to become more and more dense as it sort of like forms. So yeah, do your invocation roll.
Reverse it.
Yeah, I'll use a point of luck to roll it again.
Yeah, so you start.
Do I still get my fumble? No, it wasn't 100.
No, 99 or 100 is a fumble.
Do I still get my percentage even though you used a point of luck?
No, if you remove it.
Bollocks, and I'll.
So you sort of like you sort of like cast it down, and there's some opposition as you eventually do it, but and you see this, Bartleby, through your witch sight, that this water sort of like almost like gushes forward out of Gulliver's hands, and Hazra and Hengist, you just see the water summon forward, then disappear. But Bartleby, you see it come on and whack this black tentacle, and the water sort of like goes from the real world into almost like the witch sight magical world, and just bombards this this black tentacle. And there's a moment when it's almost like shivering and shaking as the water keeps just sort of like bounces into it, and then all of a sudden it does this like that, and the water sort of like cascades in magical land, cascades over the leg, and sort of like the tentacle sort of like unfurls and washes away, and you suddenly find your leg comes back to life. And Hazra, this is very strange, but you definitely hear it from this corridor, from the direction of this corridor there. Yeah. This sounds really weird, but it's definitely what you hear. You hear something or someone vomit. They definitely puke. You hear that retching sound, and you sort of like hear, and you may even hear a bit of a splatter. Hengist, you can get up if you wish.
So
I'll
Hengist
relay
is
that
next.
information to Gulliver, because I'm thinking about this.
all Gulliver says is, gather your will. There's sorcerers down here.
So Hengist will stand up, sort of like, and sort of like when you've just had pins and needles, he's sort of like gingerly testing his weight on his leg and slowly sort of like putting more and more pressure on it until it's fine. And then he'll turn to Gulliver and say, "Thanks, Gulliver.
That's
that
15
really
I owe you."
Yeah, that's a pint I owe you and a pint I owe you. Hazra is going to move over here in the hope that if he knows something's coming from up here or something is there, he wants to kill the line of sight on him.
Yeah.
So if anything does come through, he gets a clear line of attack.
Hang on. Do you want nobody to see you coming through there? Or do you want to have a clean line of attack for anything that comes through there?
You muted, Hazra.
Who, sorry? The second, so it's a clean line of attack for anything that comes
Okay.
through there.
Yeah. Well, you currently you can't see. You can't see.
I can't. No, I can't see it. I've got the light there.
No, you wouldn't be able to see that yet, because I think it's just at the limit of your
Yeah.
light. Yeah.
But whatever that is.
As Bartleby slowly saunters over.
Yeah, further away. Come back, Tinkerbell.
Casting and holding a spell, we can still move, can't we?
Yes, you can move, but that's it. Yeah, I think you can move and do something else. But
Okay, so Gulliver wants to start casting the exact same spell as he's just cast at the same intensity, the same magnitude, but he wants to hold it.
and then hold it. Yeah. Okay. Let me just.
I do feel that I should go sniper.
You can move at when you're casting a spell. You can move at maximum walking pace or perform free or reactive actions. So being counter spell, evade, or interrupt or parry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're holding that spell, aren't you?
Yeah. So it'll take me.
Neutralize magic.
The only thing that I'm doing, I'm changing the range, so it's going to take me 3 turns to cast because I want to.
Well, 3 turns for you is 6 seconds.
Yeah, because I want to change the range to. The last one I've just did was touch. I want to change to the range of 1, which will give me my power in meters.
Power in meters. Yeah.
But it'll also cost me an extra. Magic point to do because it's another component that I've altered. The more components I alter, the more magic points it costs me. So one base,
and that's one of the advantage. So that's a little bit like sorcerers in D&D 5th edition. I think they can manipulate things like that. So so Hazra, you're stood at the door at the. You can see that exit or entrance there. Hengist, you're stood up now. There seems Gulliver's warned everybody that there's sorcerer magic here. Bartleby, you're definitely sensing other devotional magic as well. You know, in this temple. What would you like to all do next?
Hengist says, "Well, it's clear that the Chalice is not here. Perhaps we should check the rooms, the priest rooms behind here in the main temple. It might be hidden in one of those rooms. Let's go back up one of the side alleys, side corridors, and move."
Agreed. We should. Wait, Hazra. Barley looks over to Hazra with it. If I have the witch sight still on.
No. I'm sorry. Did you not hear me? That somebody has just been thrown up in the corridor. Shouldn't we? This be out there.
No, let's go and explore all the rooms. Let's ignore that.
Yeah, no, there's somebody outside this room here to the northeast.
Does my witch sight pick up anything?
Will somebody come and help me?
Not from where you're looking. You do figure that this corridor and this entrance and that entrance both probably go on to the same corridor beyond.
Okay, Gulliver's going to he's going to come round and he's going to holding out his hand with the glowing orb in front of him as he's holding his spell. He's going to, and he's got the torch in the other hand. He's going to slowly start approaching this corridor.
Seeing Gulliver do this, he will then step forward in front of Gulliver because he's an easy target. So I want to be there.
Okay, so if we put you here, and I tell you what you can see. So just here, you see where I'm clicking?
Yep.
There's a pool of vomit. You can smell that bileness of it. It doesn't look like it's regurgitated food. It looks more like regurgitated bile. You notice that it's on the ground. You could probably jump over it if you wish, but it looks like it's just sort of like being plonked. Let me just sort of like do a bit of a squiggle for you, like that. You see that? Yeah.
You love Pac-Man, don't you?
I do.
Is there a corridor going the opposite way down here, or not?
Yeah, there's one going this way,
there
and one
it
going that way.
Yeah, it's there.
And then one up there.
And you notice there seems to be some kind of fume coming off it. It seems
Sorry.
fumes.
Ah.
There's definitely a faint sizzling sound, and you can see round the edge of the vomit on the flagstones there's some effervescing, and as if this is not anything good. If anything, it looks like some kind of
It's
acid.
got acid for blood.
Can you? Did he stand in it, Hazra?
No, it doesn't look like anybody. Can I see if anybody's
No, yeah, there's no tracks on it or anything. You probably the person or thing stood here.
Yeah. All I heard was somebody vomiting in the corridor, and then nothing else.
Yeah, as Gulliver.
Yeah, as a spell, as you did what you did with Hengist. As soon as Hengist was fine, this somebody vomited.
We need to find them.
I agree. I don't want to search any further until we find these. Why leave an enemy behind us? This. If you could do that to Hengist, you could do it to anybody. And I'll harshly, in that whisper shout, I'll be like, Hengist, Bartleby.
They come over, I presume.
Yeah. What's going on, Hazard? Ew.
I mean, I know the trail rations were bad, but Hazra really.
Sorry. No, when I heard somebody vomit over here when Gulliver was doing that thing to your leg, so I think it's somebody up this way. We can't leave them behind us. I'm fed up of saying this, really, but we must. This vomit is not like ordinary vomit. It seems to be sizzling and doing things to the floor. So do not touch it.
I wasn't going to, but thanks for the advice. I agree. We need to find whoever is playing arcane tricks upon us.
Okay, Gulliver's going to stand over it with the torch and go into this room behind.
Yeah, I think you've been in that room. That's the one with the bookcases.
Mm-hmm. But holding his torch up, he's going to make sure that there's nothing nobody in it. And if he sees that one's clear, he's going to, again, taking great care.
Every time Gulliver moves, Hazel will leapfrog him.
Okay, I think you can see. Remember, there was an exit down here as well.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going back now, Gulliver?
Yeah, Gulliver's just thinking at the moment.
I'm going to stand on this corridor here where we came from and make sure that nothing comes down there.
Okay.
This is the library, wasn't it?
It's where they looked like everything had been torched and things have been knocked down. Yeah.
Okay, Gulliver's going to point down there and he's going to say, "That way, Hazra."
Would it not be better if Hengist led the way? Oh, no, I was going to.
And he's going to say, "I think he's scared."
I cannot blame the man, to be fair, because I've seen the things you've done to me, Gulliver, and it still frightens
Is
me.
Bartleby and Hengist coming over to the room, or are you staying where you are?
I'm just hyping up to jump over that acid puddle.
No, you can step over it. It's
Oh
no.
no, athletics.
Okay, no. You all go back to there as Hazra goes to the door. So Hazra, you go to the doorway, and immediately what you see down there is, if this was Call of Cthulhu, I would be asking you for a sanity roll at present moment in time. This first room appears to be down the side here.
Mm-hmm.
Appears to be mutilated bodies and such. There's sort of like a pile of, well, bodies is probably the wrong word. There's more like an odd arm, an odd leg, a bit of a head. And as the party continues to sort of like move into the room, you suddenly realise that sort of like on both sides there's body parts and everything. Looking down, it seems to be a huge series of rooms, and you're quite happy that something has been gnawing at these limbs or pull them off. You notice from some of the limbs, etc., that they're probably what is left over of any miners or troopers that came down here. In this first room, there's a lot of stained blood on the floor. You can see in the room beyond you, it looks like there's similar body parts. There doesn't look like to be enough of all the miners and troopers. You think it's more of a case that maybe there was some kind of animal farm, eating, take out the weakest. You also notice that in between some of the stray limbs, etc., there's also bones of skeletons. They have no meat on them or anything. They look quite old.
Yeah.
And the first thing that really hits you here is the stench of not decaying bodies,
but death.
Freshly chewed bodies. Just roll for me, please, your endurance. Yeah, and you sort of like, you've seen place destruction like this, out on the savannah when you were out there, being a nomad, and villages got attacked and raided, and you just sort of like you sort of like remember to disconnect yourself from what it is and just think of it as legs, and maybe to swallow the slightest bit of bile that was welling up inside. You can see that the corridor goes on. It definitely looks as if this is a place where...
Does it look more like a larder?
And dining room.
Thank you, yes.
You don't think they've just been storing things here, but you would probably think that they've probably been eating and possibly living here as well.
It's a Woolworths pick and mix.
Yeah.
I will relay back what I can see to Gulliver, and hopefully he will pass it on to Bartleby and Hengist. Because I'm unsure.
Gulliver says, Gulliver say, not that way, north.
You figured this...
But we came north. We came from the north, didn't we?
Yeah, you came down here, yeah.
Do you want discussions, Hazra, or...
You know what you're doing. I will follow your lead. So Hazra will...
Are you going back to Hengist leading down the corridor and Gulliver behind him, or are you...
I think that's the most sensible thing to do.
Hengist will start moving towards the north corridor, walking slowly until everyone catches up with him.
Yeah, so what's Gulliver next, then Bartleby, and then Hazra, yeah? Okay then, so I'm just going to move you together. I've just selected yours, so I can move you all. So you come to that doorway. Again, I'll just pop you a little bit out so everything sort of like floods down. So this is the statue against this has some kind of furniture in. This is the door that you came
from with the stairs. Yeah.
And you can see that the corridor continues this way.
Towards the statue, Hengist.
It's a good idea. And then
Bartleby.
Move towards the statue.
You probably need Amriel's blessing.
Amriel's blessing to move the statue.
It's just I was going to say, it's just a statue.
Yeah. So when you get to this place, you can see that the corridor continues off to the west. Can you see that? And you can see that there's another doorway.
Yes.
Just there. Okay. So this. Once you get level with it, there's a doorway, and it looks like a statue from somewhere has been moved into it and wedged from the outside where you are now into the doorway. Yeah, so almost like blocking things in. Hengist, you're up at the door, so just make me a perception roll.
I use my luck point.
Yes, there's only 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking that it could be important because
and this is the best roll ever.
So
and combat means I don't have to re-roll it.
Yeah.
You sort of like peer round and sort of like in through different areas of the statue, and there seems to be a lived-in room behind it. You think you can maybe see a bit of a desk and maybe a bit of a bed.
Okay.
There doesn't seem to be anything moving in there.
Hengist will pass that on and then say, I can't hear anything moving. do we need to get in there, or do you think it could have been that
Obviously
they were trying to trap something in there?
Getting out or keep something in. From the looks of, from what you've just described, they wanted to stop somebody getting out of it.
That's what it sounds like. Well, that's what it looks like. I think we should move on. Unless we absolutely have to go in there.
Hengist, move the statue.
Hengist will sheath his sword so that he can get better purchase onto this statue, and then he's gonna.
Okay, so you, what's actually your brawn at the moment?
My brawn at the moment is 68.
Okay, then you sort of like square up to this, and you sort of like think, you know, you're not going to be able to. I mean, you give it a push to see whether or not it wobbles or anything, but it seems to be it seems stuck in there. It's either going to need more of your own power, or
Can I assist?
or yes, or somebody else.
Gulliver turned around and said, Bartleby, I said he would need Amriel's blessing.
I didn't. No. I can bring down my goddess again. I'm going to pull out that prayer and put my hand triumphantly, just a pre-triumph celebration, onto Hengist. And
Yeah.
call for him to be filled with the might of the moon. And pow.
Yeah. So what's your power, Bartleby?
My power is 14.
Okay then, 14. So yeah. So let me just check. Okay then. So now you can roll your brawn. Remember, you've got plus 14 in your 10.
Put it in my strength. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So and then roll away. Yeah. So Hengist gives a few. How do you pull it out? How do you move it? Tell me how you move it, rather than me describing it.
So Hengist is going to put one hand in, and then the other hand, and then he's going to like give one heave, and then two heave, and then he's kind of going to like try and roll. If it can roll out, he's going to try and like roll it out, or sort of like
sort of waltz out
twist
of it.
twist it out.
Yeah.
So to you, so you sort of like wiggle it a bit, then move it
Mustering
down.
under his breath.
And it just sort of like, when it comes out, it just sort of like topples over, sort of like lands on the floor. There's nothing deformed about this statue at all, which you suddenly realise is quite strange.
What is it a statue of?
A woman, yeah. Bartleby, just roll your devotion for me.
Will do. Can I use a point of luck to reroll?
Yes, or you can take a longer look at it and let the rest of the people do actions and then take it as an easy roll.
I'll do that.
Okay then, so Bartleby sort of like starts to look at it. Hengist and Gulliver.
So as soon as Hengist has sort of like deposited this statue of this woman on the floor, he's going to draw his sword and turn his attention to the main room, and he's going to step in.
Gulliver will follow.
Step slightly to his right as he goes in.
And he'll hold up the torch.
Okay, and Hazra, what are you doing?
Hazra is more worried about what's behind us at the moment, so he will be listening with a keen ear. And he'll be crouching down with his spear in his hand at this, where he is now, and listening to anything, any sudden rustle, anything coming down this corridor.
Okay then, roll your perception roll. So guys, when Hengist and Gulliver, you enter this room is completely unlike anything else that you've seen, because everything you see looks like it's being ransacked, pushed over, burnt, or anything like that. But this room is surprisingly intact. For example, there's a desk with books on, and all the books are in neat piles or open at certain places. there's a bed, there's a chair, there's a trunk, and lying on the bed is something quite strange. There's a skeleton, and the skeleton seems to have some kind of robes on. It seems to be quite light green in colour, and the skeleton is just lying on the bed, and he's got both his hands holding what appears to be a stone on a gold necklace. You can see where it is if anybody wanted to actually go and have a closer look for evaluation, etc. The other thing that you can see shining off the light, there seems to be a belt where his middle would have been. That has and there's quite a silvery buckle.
So Hengist is going to make sure this room is free of any surprises. So he would sort of like check under the table, under the bed, and those sorts of things.
Okay,
and
then.
Then Gulliver, once he's completed that.
Right. Okay. So
Sorry.
yeah, because Gulliver will have time to do something while you're doing that. So Hengist starts to go around checking places.
Gulliver will probably just go straight over to the person on the bed.
Yeah.
And as he goes over, he just says, "They trapped him in here. He or she was a prisoner."
Or perhaps when whatever it was took this temple over, they put him. They could have put him in here then.
They sealed him in here to die. Go. Hengist, go and get Bartleby.
Hengist will nod and go to the entrance and then called and say to Bartleby, approach Bartleby from behind and say, "Bartleby, Gulliver."
Right, hang on.
Very carefully try to see whether or not he can release the stone pendant from within the clutches of the skeletal hand.
Yeah. It's not sort of like tight hold of it. It seems to look like it's smooth, a smooth white stone that seems to be fleckled with brown. Bartleby, you sort of like have had a good look at this statue now, and you think it reminds you very much as Grianius, who is the ancient god of the earth, and way back before it actually before the sort of like the new god sort of like tried to manifest itself, there was a goddess. You think the name was arboreal something or other, and it was to do with plants and crops and things like that. And it's sort of like this is what's ringing the bell for you, almost like the opposite of Tabris, if you remember, who's the feral, the god in charge of all the animals. This almost like looks as if it's a goddess in charge of all the plants. I'm just going to send you something in Discord, so you know where it's coming from. You can have it from there. Gulliver.
Is there any symbols or anything on this? It's like a gold chain, and then round it is a stone pendant, is it?
No, so the gold chain actually has the stone as the end of the pendant.
Right. Okay, and is there anything, so freeing the stone at the end of the pendant, is there anything engraved, etched, or
No, it's
or is it
literally
just a stone?
It's just so the gold chain is attached to it. You can't take it off, and it's definitely, it's smooth. It's a bit like one of those pebbles. It's only about this big, if you can see. It's only about 5 centimeters, 6 centimeters. It's flat-ish. It's not completely round, but it's quite flat, but it's definitely very, very smooth.
Okay. Is standing up and looking round, is there any writing desks, anything like that? You said that there was something.
Yeah, there's books.
He's looking for something that maybe something had been written on. Is there anywhere where there's a quill and ink, or?
Yeah, I mean, it just looks like a normal office.
Okay.
Or bedchamber.
He's going to go over to the writing desk and see whether or not there's any parchment or anything like that on it.
Well, no, there's books. Yeah.
Okay. Does any of them? He's going to start looking through them. Does any of them look like they're handwritten or?
Okay, so Gulliver sort of like leaves that and goes over to the desk and starts to flip through the books. Hengist, there was nothing else in the room. The trunk, just to let you know, when you opened it, was full of robes and garments and things like that. The wardrobe had things hanging up in it, like additional robes, etc. And I forget why you came out.
I came out to get Bartleby.
Oh, not to scare me. Okay.
Okay.
No, not to scare you, Bartleby. Gulliver wants you. There's some sort of priest, body of a priest in there.
With my newfound knowledge, I'll
stay outside.
Hazra, I think you're going to have to move.
Well, what I was thinking, how wide is this corridor?
It's about as wide as one person.
So I can get my short spear and kind of put it in one corner and then put it across the other side, so it creates like a barrier in a sense. So if anybody tries to come through, I'll hear it.
If anybody tries to walk,
so if people can't see it in the dark, they'll walk into it, won't they? It'll fall off.
If people can't see in the dark, but if they
if
can
people can't see the door, if they can't, yeah. So what I want to do is that I want to. It's clearly gone pitch black now for me, and I'm like, oh my god! So I'm closing my eyes. I'm going to brace the spear in one corner, and then brace it in the other corner, and then slowly move backwards while draw my scimitar if I can at the same time, but covering just the outside of the door.
Yeah. So the spear now is in the darkness. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I will collect it if nothing happens. That is a problem.
Yep. No, that's fine. Yes. So, and Gulliver's sat at the desk reading books. Are you looking for anything in particular, or just?
To be honest with you, he's going down the route of, whoever this person was, that they've maybe in here for a long time, and maybe they've written something about what's happened, or their thoughts as they've been dying, or
okay,
almost like a journal, if you see what I mean.
So Hengist,
that's what he would do.
Hengist and Bartleby, what?
As Bartleby comes into the room, Gulliver sort of look up from his looking at the books, and he'll say, "Do you recognise the amulet round the neck?"
I'll move over to investigate, with the assumption that it might have something to do with the god and goddess information you just gave me.
Yeah, it looks like a stone on a chain. There could be some religious purpose of it, but apart from that, you haven't seen one before. You're not too sure what it would. You don't know any of it in your church or anything like that. Gulliver, you sort of like continue to flick through the books. They look like there's orders of service, or how to do certain religious rites of passage, how to welcome in new grains, things like that. It doesn't look like they're journals. They look more as if they're academic books for reading. If you wish to get more information, you can...
No, I mean, he'll probably just have checked the ones that were on the actual desk itself.
Yeah, those are the ones, yeah.
Yeah, he would have gone from the assumption that if it was something that they were constantly working on, it would be... Yeah. It would be there as the main book. So after checking those, he'll stand up. Okay, so it's just gone 10 o'clock, so that seems to be a good place to leave it for tonight, for this week. So Hazra, you're outside, the spear's in position, and you're guarding the corridor, and then Bartleby, Hengist, and Gulliver, you're in. Was there anything else that did you ask anything else, Bartleby, apart from the stone?
I was just looking at the stone, and then I was going to ask if I could identify this as a priest, even though I didn't really think there was much I could go off with that.
You think it's probably some kind of priest's attire. You know, many priests wear amulets or, you know, religious rites, religious representations of things.
And I'm also guessing I can't identify any sign of death that would be apparent. There's probably no like broken bones. It's just a...
No, roll your healing skill.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, there seems to be this person has had a non-aggressive death. As Gulliver was saying a little bit earlier, it literally looks as if he's laid down and died. Maybe starvation, maybe old age, you know, whatever came first. There's no sign of any bits of skeleton broken or anything like that. Gulliver and Bartleby, just roll, because I know you both have commerce skills. We just do that before we leave it. Oh wow, Bartleby. Oh yeah, both of you. Yeah. So
all about the money.
Yeah, Gulliver, you figure that the necklace is worth about 800 silver pieces. Bartleby, with your crit roll, you what's the word that I'm looking for? When you agree with somebody. Concur with the 800 silver pieces for the necklace, not the stone, the gold necklace. It's a fine bit, but because of your quick roll, you also notice that the silver buckle's probably worth about 50 silver pieces as well.
I'll mention that to Gulliver with a line like, I really wish I could have a belt like that. I don't think it'll fit though.
So yeah, okay then. So we will leave it there. I will move you back to the starting screen, and zoom us in so we can see everybody.
Gulliver was going to come out with a comment of, you know, that Bartleby is a bit more tubbier than the person wearing it.
Yeah, so brilliant. So we're still deep in the Temple of the Chaos, Mother. Some strange things have been happening, and what is happening, I don't know whether or not you have a full understanding, but hopefully next week, if everybody's around, maybe you'll be able to see exactly what is happening and what's going on. So does anybody have any announcements before we go?
No,
I do.
No. Ooh.
Oh.
I've got 2 announcements if I'm allowed to use all my tokens from previous
Going
past.
to another wedding.
2?
Come on,
I have
just
2
go.
announcements. The first one is that in about an hour or so, I think I'm going to be on the official Wrath and Max Later stream. We're going to show off some of my Traveler nonsense, so if you're still awake at those hours.
Is it Wraths or Max?
It should be on both. It should be on both Wrath and Max Later streaming their ends of each. which I don't know if they'd be really that different. But
I thought.
Are you a player or are you a DM or GM?
I'm the storyteller and they're the players.
Yeah, I think. Did you say Raf's doing a 12-hour stream or something?
Yeah,
Yes, and I think I've got a chunk of it.
Oh, right,
yeah,
cool.
He's playing Ark at the moment.
Ark. Yeah, he's playing Ark and Maxilate. Oh, it's not playing anything. 12-hour stream. There's no time going, but no, that sounds cool. Coolio. Yeah, and is that it?
Yeah, I had one more announcement. I'm going to be live on my own channel on Tuesday in the morning, a little bit before we'd normally start Mithras. I'm going to be playing a game starring Christopher Lloyd from 1996.
What are you playing?
Christopher Lloyd, isn't that a tennis player?
That would be the guy who is the doctor in Back to the Future.
Were you playing Toonstruck?
Right.
Toonstruck is what I'm going to be playing. I got it set up.
I've done an announcement and I managed to get the Mr. Pickle show because I always put too many S's in. I always think it's Mr. Pickle's show. Doc Brown, yes, Darth. That's it, Doc Brown, legend.
There we go. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, then. So we'll be back next week. Don't forget, if you're interested in Mithras, then if you go over to my webpage, inwils.co.uk, look up at the top in the role-playing tab, and there's a whole lot of information about the characters here, their backgrounds, etc., but also a whole lot of information about... when do you stream Mithras, by the way? Every Saturday night, Marky Mark, on Saturday, yeah.
Unless Mr. Pickles is doing something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll all bow for the God that is Pickles.
And also, if you are interested, remember that you can go along to... we have a podcast to do with... Mithras Matters. Which
yes, it was an interesting one. What town was it about this?
Furachita.
Can you not say it in a...
It's not so silly, but it's...
I know, Alex says it.
And
Alex is Welsh as well. But,
really?
Yeah, but he pronounces all these wonderful Italian names.
Yeah, like a full Italian. I thought it was Italian.
Furachita. The city of power. Yeah, the city of power. So do go along and see that. And if you are interested in the Mithras rule set, then on my YouTube channel, there's a whole load of videos about how combat works, magic does, the overview of the game, etc., etc. So do go along and have a check on that. So until next week, I hope you have a wonderful week. I'll be back streaming tomorrow at 2 p.m. British Summer Time for some more Elder Scrolls Online, so do come along and join me with drops enabled, I hope, because I get lots of viewers.
Get lots more people when there's drops.
I know.
I saw you had 100 and something, nearly 200 at one point.
Yeah, well, I actually raided. See you later, Marky Mark.
See you later, Marky Mark.
I raided Gnarly Nate with over 200 raiders when I went across, which was cool. So I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back next week as long as everybody is around, and we'll see whether or not the party manages to escape from the Temple of the Chaos Mother, see whether or not they can work out what the vomit is all about. Can Gulliver go head to head with the sorcerer magic that is in this place? Will Hazra remember his spear? Will Bartleby accidentally put the necklace and silver belt in his pocket? And will Hengist continue to ward location? We could only find that out next Saturday, so please do come along. Until then, happy role playing, everyone, and we will catch you all later. See ya.
Bye.
That's how for now.
This video is sponsored by the Design Mechanism, the makers of Mithras. Mithras is a registered trademark of the Design Mechanism Inc., used with permission. All rights reserved.